in the chat if you are able to see my screen. Excellent. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining in today. A very good evening. And I would like to quickly introduce myself. I'm Akshay. I take care of business at Interview Kickstart. And today you have joined us for a power packed agenda on learning how smart tech product managers quantify execution and impact. Uh, this power pack session being done by Interview Kickstart is going to cover what IK does, why FAANG Plus product manager interviews are evolving, and what's the 2026 playbook from delivery to impact. You'll also learn the alignment challenges related to tech product and business goals. We'll also be talking about industry trends, bridging the gap with Interview Kickstart, inside the FAANG Plus TPM interview blueprint, and the metrics that matter. You'll have a live demo quantifying impact as an Amazon tech product manager, and then there will be live question and answers with none other than Mr. Manish, who is a senior product manager at Amazon. All right, guys, interview Kickstart. To give you a bit about us, we've been in this business for almost a decade and have a elite community of 25,000 plus alumni today working in top tech roles at companies like Amazon, Google, LinkedIn, OpenAI, etc. And we have 18 plus disciplines where we offer customized domain centric interview prep programs. Students who have graduated from Interview Kickstart have gotten compensation starting from 250K to as high as 1.2 million. Uh, and we'll also talk a little bit about how you can also get a compensation, something similar to like this. Um, IK is built to crack top tier roles. We have a very hands-on approach on learning. We are not any recorded or YouTube session alike. It's a very practical method of learning where you're taught by FANG Plus professionals themselves. This entire organization is built by FANG Plus for FANG Plus. So tech recruiters, product managers, people like Praveen, Kevin, who are working at Meta, Walmart, Yuval, who's working at Airbnb, and so on. These are the very people who design interview prep programs here and deliver and teach you guys. All right. Uh, that's a bit about IK. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to none other than Mr. Manish. Manish is the senior product manager at Amazon Payments. He leads large scale programs transforming how Amazon Payments scales globally, and an expert in quantifying execution and translating delivery into measurable business impact. He has coached thousands of people to crack FANG interviews, and today his insights, how things go behind the curtains, what exactly a recruiter or a tech recruiter is looking for in candidates while interviewing. And he will give you the insight and knowledge all about it, how tech product managers are being evolved in 2026. All right, Manish, thank you so much for joining in. Would love for you to take this ahead.
Thanks, Akshay. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining the class. Thanks, Akshay, for introducing. I think too much good words there, doing that simple job. Let me start asking you, a very basic question, and I'm sure everyone would have experienced that this sometime in the past. Let's say you are in an interview, giving interview in one of the fan companies or any company to that matter. You talked about a project, perhaps the project that you are very proud of from your career. You explained the interviewer the complexity, the challenges that you had to face or overcome, and the timelines that you met, even though these challenges existed, right? And you are you are feeling good about it. Interview heard about your details and then asked can you share the business impact, or can you share what metrics that you improved? That is a time you froze or you freeze. You take a pause longer than required, perhaps, because you never realized or you thought you would need to quantify business impact as well, right? So this pause that we take generally makes the difference, and essentially interviewers loses the interest on the project that you are super proud of from your career, right? Now today we will try to learn how to answer these questions. By the time we end, you will have a proper process or a method that will help you to understand or think how do you quantify the business impact, and that becomes a very obvious thought process before you even start any project. Let me I'm not going to repeat what's there on your screen. Sorry, my screen got hung up. Yeah, you delivered a AI feature, and then the basic ask of leadership today is what is the metric, what is the impact, what is the ROI, right? And this is one of the biggest gap that we are seeing today. Uh, Fundamentally, so far in my 20 years of career as a TPM, or in operations or product or whatever we say, so far a TPM used to deliver, track timelines, manage dependencies, and report status and say, hey, we delivered a project. Sorry, we delivered a project, and that's a success. We celebrate the delivery. But now, Akshay, if you can move to the next slide. But now the things have changed. Now the companies are asking about what's the business or customer impact. They want to work customer backwards. They want to translate all the outcomes into measurable metrics, so that did customer get what they want, or did we solve any customer problem? How do we drive data across different aspects of the project? Did we use AI? AI is penetrating in our day-to-day life heavily. And how did we or our projects scale into multiple domains or multiple sectors, depending on which industry or which project that you're working on? And finally, delivery is a business as usual expectation, but how do you call that as a success? If you moved a needle on the metric, or if you moved any business impact, how much ROI that you created, right? 1 second. My laptop, sorry guys, my laptop is acting a little weird. Yeah. So let's dig little deeper. Let's talk about how do you measure impact before you build. What do you mean by measure impact before you build, right? So as a product manager, whether we are into a technical product manager or a normal product, I mean non-tech product managers, we just don't take, or we cannot accept requirements anymore. We need to define, when we start a project or the requirement writing, we need to define what are my success metrics that we will have to track or measure eventually when we deliver the project. Now, many of you may have an question: what if I don't have any baseline? What if you were building something complex, completely new, and which is complex, where there is no historical data? That is completely fine. You will always have a baseline. You will always know where to start or where to find it. Do we have any competitive baseline? Did we do industry benchmark? What triggered this project, or what triggered this solutioning as a product manager? Is there a VOC? Is there any customer pain that we are trying to solve? What are we trying to solve? If you know that answer, I think you know what's your business metric, right? That, or a success metric that you are trying to achieve by doing this solution or product or process or project. The second thing is AI and data, right? How do you use AI strategic inputs in your day-to-day life? AI is, look, let me give you an example here, right? Now, I'll take a step back of measuring impact. How do you use an AI, right? You do not have a baseline. You do not have any proper historical data to quantify or to baseline your success metric. Now, you have to do a market research or a competitive baselining, right? Now, you can help or you can take help from AI to do that market research. You will have a customer problem. Let's talk about an example where, let's talk about an e-commerce example. I'm from Amazon. I'll talk about an e-commerce example. Let's say we want to reduce, checkout time for every customer. When I say checkout, how much time you take to shop as a customer, I want to reduce that, right? By, let's say, 20%. Today, customer takes 12 seconds to buy a product after adding it into the cart. I want to reduce it by 2 seconds. Right? Let's take an hypothetical example. Now, first of all, is that realistic as a number? I need to do a competitive baselining. What are the other e-commerce organizations or companies achieving as a checkout time? I can use AI to get their strategic inputs. What are the pain? Why customer is taking so much of time, and how can I reduce? Are there any non-value add steps I can take help of AI by inputting the historical data that I have of 12 seconds, right? So these are few things that you can take AI as an benefit. And once you have those, you essentially drive alignments among the engineering team, among the business teams. You may not be directly, while you might be owning the product or a feature or a UI UX change, but you may not be the end-to-end owner of the delivery. So you may want to align those metrics using these inputs, using these impacts with those teams, and not get into meetings without impact, right? Because if you get into a meeting with a thought, there will be a lot of questions on why do we want to solve this? Is there a real problem? How are we going to measure these problems, or the success metrics? So these questions you will preempt, you will automatically have the answers readily available, so you don't get into meetings with a thought. And obviously, the last point, when you get into a discussion, you don't communicate as a project delivery or a product delivery manager. You communicate as product owner or product economist, as we say, right? Why? Because you would know what will be my ROI. ROI is returns on investment, right? I am going to invest 10 engineer for 10 weeks. Let's say it's a cost of $100,000, right? How much after investing $100,000 as an organization, how much am I going to get returns? Is 2 second sufficient reduction of the time, right? So these are few factors that is getting changed when it comes to the new era or new TPM bar in the competitive market that we talk about. We are right now targeting FAANG as the organizations, but honestly, I have been into both the side of the table. I've seen both the side of FAANG, non-FAANG. All organizations more or less are either have moved from this thought process of delivery to business impact or moving towards it. Akshay, if you can move forward. Now, I'll let you guys read. Not going to do again. This is one scenario. You are leading a large scale program. Engineering delivers ahead of schedule, but 6 weeks later, usage metrics haven't moved. Was it really a success? I think you should answer yourself, right? Is this a real success? As we all discussed, what was the gap here? The gap was we never decided what are my success metric when the program or the engineering team started working on it. And when they delivered, we were more focused on delivery than tracking the business metric. So what happened exactly after the delivery happened? We all wanted to celebrate the delivery, but the business and business owners or the leadership came up and said, okay, what happened? I invested $100,000. What happened to those $100,000? So that is where the change of paradigm is coming. If you can go forward. Okay, I think there is a question. I will park that question, Deepak. Uh, or Akshay, should we take these questions right now?
No, no, we can take it later.
Okay, all right. So playbook, TPM playbook. It's a very generally playbook kind of a word, or I would say is a very generally commonly used word, right? But personally, if you ask me, there is no one rule fit for all kind of a situation. But there are certain uh, processes, there are certain actions that I has helped me help my mentees who have been I have been mentoring from last few years to be a successful TPM or crack interviews within Amazon, outside Amazon, within FAANG organization, things like that. Right now, let's talk about ambiguity. As product managers, we will always face and deal with ambiguity, right? Like reduce checkout time by 2 seconds, right? It's a very global, vague, and very you know, I would not say vague, but it's a very global statement. How do you reduce ambiguity here? How do you quantify it? As I said, initially you would not even get 2 seconds as a number, right? You would say we want to reduce a leadership meetings. We will discuss. We want to reduce uh, checkout time that customers take today. Now you need to define by baselining how much should you reduce. What is the realistic number, but aggressive, right? It should not happen that today it is 12 second. I start. Stand up and say, "Oh, all right, leadership has asked us to reduce. Let's reduce it by 10 seconds." Right now, you are setting up yourself for a failure. Right, you're not going to achieve 80% reduction or 50% reduction. You need to baseline what is your success. One, realistic. Two, aggressive, so that you're able to achieve, but it is, let's say a goal is of 12 months, you are able to achieve in 11th month and not achieving on the 8th month. Because if you're achieving in the 8th month, that means the goal was too easy, right? But if you're achieving, not able to achieve even on 12th month, which means you took 10 seconds kind of a reduction target, which was not achievable. When you take a realistic but aggressive goal, there will be few low hanging fruits that you will pluck in. There will be few unsolved problems or the problems where you do not know the solution. You will realize or put effort to find solutions there, right? That is where your time will take. Now, that is where you will build adaptation. That is where you build operationalize metrics, because there are certain set of metrics for 12 seconds that that customer is taking today. Let's say the customer takes 2 seconds to choose the payment method. Customers takes 5 seconds to uh, you know select that delivery time that the customer wants. Customer takes to 1 second to toggle between multiple screens because they have to select address and things like that. So when you operationalize these metrics, you automatically understand the granular details of which section you can get as a instant wins or quick wins, as we say, and where you will actually need to trade off the engineering effort or your effort intelligently, right? So the trade-off that you make has to be very effectively communicated as well, as we are saying, right? Now, when you have divided, or when you have bifurcated these 12 seconds into, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers, you will understand and you will be able to communicate that to your engineering team or the larger stakeholders that, hey, these are my quick wins. Of the 12 seconds, there are, you know, 800 milliseconds you will be able to save just by doing quick fix that can happen in 1 week. But the remaining 1 second, 200 milliseconds, 1.2 seconds will have to be further bifurcated into multiple different projects, engineering projects, maybe educational email campaigns and things like that. So how do you trade off? You will have, and when you say these trade-offs, you attach metrics in terms of prioritization, right? And last but not the least, always remember one thing: as product managers, we are not managers. While manager is attached to product manager as a designation, that is the irony. You are a leader who have to take cross-functional teams and work with them collaboratively towards the goal that you have finalized. I understand customer backwards and all those things, but understand there are 5 different teams who are, in the lack of better word, I would say, least bothered about your goal, right? But you need to influence them through business metrics, impact, removing the ambiguity for them by quantifying it, and so they adapt your goal by trading off their priorities, right? Because it's not easy. I have my set of priorities with me. Well, let's say I'm a finance team, right? My goal is to reduce cost to serve. By your project, I'm going to increase my cost to serve. Why do I deprioritize my goal for your priority? If you attach these things to your goal, to your thought, to your product, I will be able to trade off the cost to serve goal that I have. Or at least there will be a communication. There can be a negotiation with finance team to prioritize your goal over my goal, right? Let's move on. Yeah, this is very similar to what we discussed, right? The alignment challenge, tech, product, business. Tech has always and will always want scalability, technical expertise, technical excellence. What do you want? You want customer engagement. You want feature velocity. You want, is your market fit? Is your product market fit, right? And finally, business, which is where we are. We want revenue. Business will want what is the ROI. Business will want what is the profitability. I mean, there are multiple names for the same thing: growth, revenue, profitability, ROI, P&L. All these things will be asked by business. And at the end of the day, if business does not get this, the other two piece, that is tech scalability, performance, technical excellence, technical expertise, or as product manager, your engagement, customer engagement, velocity, market fit, nobody talks about it. Your job as a TPM or a PM is to translate these languages and find an intersection where all these three heads or challenge is, I would say, get aligned, right? So the question isn't it, are you a competent TPM? I am sure there are quite all of you are competent TPMs, right? Or will be a competent TPM. Can you provide or can you prove that you will move the needle of a business metric through the examples that you share during your interview? If you are not able to prove that there will be a needle movement, or you moved a needle in your past experience, as an interviewer for me, there might be better TPMs available that I can hire, right? So this alignment between three different pillars of the business, this is where our answers, our examples when we talk about our experience during the interviews are important, right? Now, if you move, Akshay, you can move to the next slide. I think
All good.
it's
I'll take over for the next few minutes, Manisha, right?
sure, sure.
Great. Guys, would like to speak a bit about today's hiring landscape, right? What has been going on? What's the trend, right? So, uh, we've seen a steady increase since quarter two of 2023 in open roles in our domain, right? And compensation has also steadily been increasing throughout this period, as you can see here. And competition for roles at top companies has also increased. If you remember, right after COVID, there was a very huge hiring frenzy. However, the hiring frenziness, where a lot of cold reach outs from recruiters, seems to have lowered down, right? Despite improvement or steady increase in open roles, it's become more nuanced, right? Uh, at the beginning of the year, we surveyed almost 2,000 job openings, where we saw approximately 22% of these job openings were asking a individual, a product manager, to be AI enabled. Now, you'll be surprised. When we did this again in the previous month, uh, almost 56% of openings today require a candidate to be AI aware and AI enabled. And it becomes critical for you guys to have an interview prep where you're not just preparing for your domain, but you're holistically improving your AI awareness quotient, right? And you can see this for yourself, right? Across domains, across positions, people want AI awareness, all right? And basic comfort with an AI is a minimal ask, domain agnostic, not restricted to just product or program managers, but domain agnostic across FAANG or top tier companies. Now, why most candidates fail top company interviews? There's a reason behind that, guys. A lot of people are self prepping, right? They're taking, they do not have a proper organized curriculum. And it's a self guided learning where you do not have a mentor who has actually cracked this rigorous interview process that FANG Plus companies you know go through for to evaluate a candidate. It can take as much months for finding them the right candidate, right? And self prep does not offer mock interviews. Here at IK, you get live 1:1 mock interviews with real FANG Plus recruiters with real time feedback. It's a simulation where you can understand what are your lacking areas. In real time, the simulation helps you prepare in the best and the most optimum way to present yourself in the right manner during this most critical interview of your life. We go into domain depth and it's personalized to your experience. You also get behavioral training. Candidates might clear technical expertise, might be super strong, but FANG Plus recruits for culture. They look for people who are collaborative, right? And behavioral coaching and playbooks, along with career skills today, are extremely, extremely important to crack a FANG Plus interview. You also get AI skills, right? Related to your domain. You get a structured AI project for each role. You also get access to a huge community of 25,000 alums and 700 plus instructors for referrals. And we also help you understand how to negotiate for the right compensation. As we said, the highest compensation through IK has been 1.2 million. Obviously, this is cash plus stocks. However, it requires a lot of negotiation in the right manner, where you're projecting yourself as a candidate worthy of it, right? And most interview prep is not deeply rooted in the reality of your day job today, right? It is critical to understand today's landscape, which FANG Plus evaluates a candidate on. And IK as an organization is powered by these FANG Plus instructors. All these courses related to interview prep, A, are designed, B, delivered by these very own recruiters. And it's a rigorous battle tested strategy that we have, all right? And everybody has a personalized pathway so that you are able to share your story in the most efficient way. All right. If you become a part of IK program, um, foundational curriculum, deep dives in each topic, algos, system design, domain knowledge, career skills, leadership is what you get taught on. You also get taught on, uh, since it's designed for working professionals, it happens twice a week. And it's a live class with hiring managers, team leaders, technical recruiters, where you discuss live power patterns. There are live discussions. You also get time to practice on these curated question sets, run test cases, view top submissions, and then learn from them. Again, guys, it's a very practical approach. It's not a very theoretical approach that IK follows, right? You'll have simulated tests, instructor led calibrated discussions, and detailed grading sessions to cover where you are lacking. All right. And the icing on the cake is there are unlimited coaching sessions for candidates, live for 1 year, even after you completing the course. And area specific coaching is available for you guys. These 1:1 sessions are long feedback with actual top company hiring managers, team leads, live simulated real interviews. This is the recipe to success. You get detailed feedback on how to improve your roundedness to be perfect for a FANG Plus interview. And these recorded sessions are shared with you for you to touch upon aspects that you want to spend more time understanding. And regular check ins from the team are done with you guys to identify any anti patterns and ensure that you are trained for success. And we agree that not one size fits all. And that's why, as I said, based on your experience level and your domain, we offer personalized coaching across these domains, ranging from backend engineers to full stack engineers, Android engineers, in management, engineering managers, product managers, and early engineers as well. We have four kind of offerings. One is move up, where you prepare for interviews and you build a very holistic AI portfolio, right? As I said, AI awareness and AI readiness is critical for any candidate today to be relevant. And all big techs are looking for a candidate who is AI aware, AI enabled. And this program helps you achieve that. Edge up. It helps you generative AI expertise, hence it's slightly longer. Level up, you do not get AI oriented projects. You are just given domain centric trainings. However, I do not recommend this. I recommend something where you're prepared for success for future, guys. And then there's Step Up. It's an accelerated prep for people who are struggling because of layoff or have any edge situation related to H1B visa. So you can basically, these are recorded sessions at your own pace. Finish this within 4 weeks as well. All right. These are the details about this program. Le- how many mock interviews do you get? Placement assistance is across. Content and access is unlimited to you guys. Live coaching, unlimited. Support period, a very extensive support period post completion of your course, and a money back guarantee. These are some of our projects that we have done with our candidates. Code Genius, a AI powered automated code review agent. A Blue Horizon AI concierge where seamless agentic AI system for luxury hotel chain were made. Multiple projects done by uh, candidates to become AI enabled. And these are the commercials involved for this extensive FAANG Plus coaching that you get from FAANG Plus instructors. There's money back guarantee, placement assistance, financing options available. You can enroll today and start anytime. And there's scholarship on selected courses. We have limited slots for an upcoming product management cohort. This investment on yourself gets you compensation starting from 250K, going as high as 1 million. It's a small investment on yourself to achieve the dream job that you always wanted to pivot. All right, thanks a lot. I'm going to hand this over back to you, Manish, where you can share details about interview blueprint and then, yeah. All right, thank you, Manish. Over to you.
Thanks, Akshay. Thanks for covering this. Yeah, blueprint, a very global word, as we say, right? I think uh, we have talked a lot about what we should do, how should we talk, how should we measure business metric and things like that. I want to take a step back and give you a framework, a blueprint that is simple yet powerful, and it will help you to fundamentally change how do you tell your story or tell your example. We see here these are the interview rounds. You know, generally all companies nowadays follow the similar pattern, right? Whether you talk about Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, or Meta, as we say now. Let's talk about framework, right? Uh, I call it as, or I would like to call it as 4 layer impact framework that has helped me. The first layer in this framework is execution, right? What did you actually deliver? You might have questioned that, hey, you told, let's not talk about delivery. Hear me out. Layer two is about system effect, which you can say, how did the system change? What change did you make? Or what was the status quo and what is the new status? Layer three is business outcome. We talked about it, right? What metric moved? What metric or what was the ROI? And finally, layer four, which is very important. Every project that you deliver or you talk about should have this, which is learning, right? If you are not talking about learning, you're not wrapping up the project, right? Now, most of the TPMs I have seen, I have interviewed for TPM roles in Amazon or elsewhere. They primarily talk about what did they deliver, right? What was the challenges that they find, as we discussed earlier. Now, I want to show you exactly how it looks like in practice, right? Let's talk about execution. Let me give you a real world example. The same example that we were talking about, right? Now, how would I give or I start my example? I would say I led a checkout optimization initiative for our mobile platform. We delivered a one click checkout feature for iOS and Android. The project took 8 weeks, and I coordinated with 15 engineers across payments, mobile, and infrastructure teams. Take a pause, right? Now, let me ask you this. I know there are chat and everything, but let me ask you this. What did we just do? Did we establish what we delivered? As I said, execution. We answer what was your project. This is very important, right? But if you stop here, this is where you will lose the interest, right? This is where this is the key moment where you bring back the interviewer's interest, because everybody is talking about what they deliver, and then you start about how did you do it. That is system effect. The feature reduced average checkout time from 47 seconds down to 12 seconds. Don't go with the numbers, these are hypothetical numbers. That's a 74% improvement. We also simplified the journey from 5 steps to 2 steps, and we cut down the number of API calls by 60%, which reduced server load significantly. Now, what has happened here? You attached significant numbers, values, importance of the delivery that you have achieved. Layer three, business outcome, the why it matters. Now, whatever numbers that I just quoted, how did it improve? As a result of these improvements, we saw 23% increase in mobile conversion rate. This is business that we are talking. In dollar terms, which might be a question from business side, leadership side, that translated to $8.5 million in incremental quarterly revenue. We also saw a cart abandonment drop by 31%, which improved customer satisfaction score or NPS score by 18%. Now, this project, after these details, has become a very important for the organization. And as an interviewer, I am interested because you're talking about significant ROI. 15 engineers, maybe for 8 weeks. Let's say it was $1 million cost, right? You're talking about $8.5 million only for quarter. You're talking about 8 times, not 8 times. It is like 3-digit times kind of an impact that you have generated. And finally, you talk about learnings, which is important. As I said, what did we learn? Right? What did we learn? We learned about, let's again add some learnings here, right? Payment method selection was the single biggest friction point in the checkout flow. Users were spending 22 seconds for just selecting the payment. This is a new learning, right, that we took. Now, as part of the second phase of the project, we'll work on it. So now there are 4 layers that I shared with you guys. Let's assume that I am a candidate interviewing to one of you guys, and I'm giving this as an answer to you. Yes, there will be certain more details to it, in the sense, nitty gritties, granular level details at a high level. If I attach these numbers for you as an interviewer, you will be more interested to know about the project in me as a TPM, then losing the interest in what did you deliver, because everybody delivers. right? How you are adding value to the business is important in today's world. Coming to the blueprint, sorry, Akshay, if you can go back. No, the next one. Yeah. Coming to the blueprint, I think this is, let's put this as a practice, right? Execution and delivery. Can you deliver clarity? Sorry, there is screen. Yeah. Can you deliver clarity? How do you prioritize? Right. Now, if you go back to my example that I shared, what did we do? We shared the execution. We delivered in 8 weeks. How did we deliver? That we shared in technical depth. That engineering team and finance teams and things like that. Right. Metrics. We did establish relevant metrics, relevant business metrics, relevant customer metrics, customer reaction, customer feedback. We established that as well. Leadership, because we are talking about ROI here, we are talking about $8.5 million quarterly incremental revenue, which means if I was earning quarterly $100 million, now I will earn $108 million, $8.5 million because of this project. And bar raiser is a strategic alignment that comes as part of interview rounds. So if you attach these things or these four layer process, it will help you to gain that interest and confident of the interviewer that perhaps may change their vote to incline, then saying we'll get back to you, right? Impact beats delivery always, right? It- the hard truth is you can deliver, I mean, everyone can deliver a task, right? It is expected, today it is an expected norm that if you have been tasked by a project, you should deliver, right? But the important thing is the $8.5 million, right? How did you move the middle of the business? As I said, quantification is absolute non-negotiable, right? If you're able to attach quantification to your example, that will help to get things to a different stage altogether, right? Uh, Actually, if you can move forward. Yeah, I think we covered this as well. Yeah, let's talk about scenario, right? Your company flagship product now rallies. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the camera because I have my monitor this side. Recently engaged dropped 12%, model in inference cost went up by 40%, and the latency is fluctuating. Now, the question is, how would you lead this investigation and drive resolution, balancing model accuracy, infra cost, latency, and business impact, with no one agrees on the root cause? This is where the four layer will help. Now, let me ask you this. What was the conflict? How did you handle it? What was the outcome? And what did you learn? Can you answer, if you work on these kind of a project, if you answer these four questions, going back to the four layer framework that we just talked about, will the interviewer be interested in the answer or the example? Yes, let me share a different example with you, right? Or let me ask this question. These are very commonly asked question in FAANG interviews, right? Tell me about a time you influence without authority. Ask the same four layers. If you had to influence, what was the conflict? How did you handle? What was the outcome, and what did you learn about it? Or tell me about your biggest failure, right? We all have failures in our life. Whether you have 2 years of experience or 20 years of experience or 30 years of experience, doesn't matter. You will always have failure, and which is good. You should have. Nobody can stand up and say, I at least I have not met anybody who can stand up and say, I haven't seen any failure in my life, right? Either that person is bluffing or that person is not a TPM for sure, right? Now, if you're asked about biggest failure, start with what happened, right? And then why it failed. What was the cost of failure? If you are able to convey that cost effectively, it is completely okay because you know what was the cost. Finally, what did you learn about it? Now, these are very behavioral questions that comes in these interviews. You will have to attach the examples of your experience from your experience into these frameworks, right? TPM, one of the the primary principle is a system. Think like a system and not like a TPM as an individual. Because while you are an individual contributor in the organization, but a TPM collaborates with multiple cross-functional teams. And till the time you don't think as a system and you think about your project, your goal, your delivery, even if you talk about metrics or business impact, it will be really challenging, difficult task for your life to get alignment from different teams, right? You'll be able to attach these things, but if you're not trading off, you'll not be able to will be a successful TPM, right? Akshay, you can move forward. Yeah. So these are few things that I have learned, I have talked about during our session today. We have talked about what is my key takeaway. As I said, there are four layers that we talked about: execution, impact, learning, and business metrics. But there are certain principles that you should also follow. I mean, though we talked about in detail or theory, let me give headers to it, right? Impact beats delivery always. That is first principle. Quantification, impact beat delivery, quantification is non-negotiable. That's the second principle that I feel we should follow. The framework will always work for everything. Make that as a thumb rule, right? If you are able to attach your answers in this framework, that will gain that interest. Now, you can stand up and say, hey, I kind of followed, but did not materialize. Multiple reasons to it. As an interviewer, I know there could be multiple reasons. Complexity, the experience that I am looking forward. There are multiple reasons. I'm sure when you take the lengthier course, you will understand those reasons. Finally, as I said, you need to think as a system. You can't operate in silos, right? When you think as a system, you will be able to influence and add a value to the business, move needle to the business metrics. And when you talk this way in interviews, in daily business, when you get hired, you will be a successful TPM. I'll with this, I'll hand over the mic back to Akshay.
All right, Manish, why don't we go ahead and do the Q&A right after this, right? So, guys, we have a new cohort launching in December, limited spots, only 15 exclusive seats right now, and scholarship is available for this. Right now, we are going to go ahead and take Q&As for people looking to crack FANG interviews for product management roles. Manish, over to you.
Thanks, Akshay. I'll start with Deepak. I know you raised this question long back. How confident would we be with the competition baseline? How do we validate? I mean, with AI for competitive baseline. Uh, AI is new. Will AI make errors? The answer is yes. And honestly, I am not saying this. Sundar Pichai is saying this, right? I am kind of repeating his words. Take it with a pinch of salt. When you talk about baselining a metric, and when I say this, it does not mean during interview. When you know that baselining that you have done is from AI, competitive baselining, you can always call out proactively the confidence level that you feel is correct. Like for an example, can't get into details for obvious reasons, but for one of the product that I'm working on today, uh, we had to take or do baselining through competitive marketing, right? Or competitive study using AI. When we presented our document to the leadership, we very proactively called out that, hey, the baselining data that you see here is at 80% confidence. There will be 25% hallucination because of or inaccuracy because of use of AI, because the product that we are trying to launch now or integrate uh, is not being launched across all platform e-commerce platform. So it's okay that your data is not 100% accurate. Your product that you're trying to launch or your experience that you're trying to implement is new in the market. Nobody else has done it. You don't have any history, you don't have any baseline. That's completely fine. Call out proactively. If you're calling out proactively, you essentially address the curiosity or the doubts that leadership or the listener or the readers may have on your product. If they know that you are not shying away by accepting that you're not fully confident on the baseline, that's completely fine. That is where you, as product managers, that is why I say you're not managers, you are leaders, and leaders take risk. I hope, Deepak, I answered your question. Ruchika, will this slides be shared? Yes, I think, Akshay, I can take that as yes.
Uh, no, this won't be shared. Yeah.
All right, sorry. Uh, okay, there are few questions in the chat box. Let me go there. Are you going to share a real world example scenario, especially AI related? Niaz, to what I understand, if you want us to open AI and do live demo, I think Akshay can take that question, but that will be part of the project or the lengthier course that Akshay talked about.
Correct.
Demon, what is early engineer?
People who are in their 0 to 2 years of experience
Yep.
early.
They just started their career. To the question, do you anticipate improvement in the metric or was it recorded post the fact? Uh, Tarak, if you can explain a little more exactly what the question is. I know you have written, I don't know if I am jumping the gun, but after losing 7 consecutive leadership rounds, final rounds as B2B PM, I was told that I should lead with metrics. Example, I reduced API calls by 50% by implementing a technical solution instead of blah blah. Sorry, blah blah and reduced API calls. Yeah, this is the tricky one, right? Tarak, I think you need to get into I will have to get into details as to what happened in that interview exactly to tell you what went wrong or what could have been done better. Uh, there are multiple ways to address the same example or basically articulate the same example, right? I would not recommend you to go with directly impact first, because if you're not providing the problem statement, then there will be a lot of probing questions that will come out to you from the interviewer, which might be not good when it comes to evaluating a candidate, right? If and especially for FAANG, I can definitely confidently say about it uh, as an interviewer in Amazon as well. If you start with impact, generally the interview lasts for an hour, and we try to take what 2 to 3 examples per interview as an interviewer. It will not be sufficient for me as an interviewer to take those examples. And if I'm not able to take those examples or ask those questions, 2 3 questions in 1 hour, my vote might not be positive, right? So I would strongly recommend, if you are facing this problem, talk to Akshay. Ashish, how can I explain failure scenarios if I haven't encountered or dealt with them directly? I I beg to differ. You will, if you are early engineer or early in your career, 0 to 2 years, you still would have faced failures. Maybe in college. That's completely okay. Failure does not always means you need to work or work experience failures. If you do not have failures in your work experience, you can be vocally self-critical and talk about it. That hey, I don't think so. In this stage of my career, I have faced failures, but in my college, I faced a failure which I would like to talk about. It's fine. It's fine if you do not have a specific example of a question for your professional life. Try if you are able to get one. If not, then be vocally self-critical. That's completely okay. Program can help. How I know program can help if I want to switch from SA role to TPM or TSM role. Not sure what is SA. Is it solution architect? If that is true, I think Akshay can take that up. But yeah, I mean, overall, I have been into different roles in my life in 20 years of my career. Today, I am product from last 10 odd years. Even if you see my profile anywhere, you would understand. I have switched roles or families, as we say, or profiles throughout my career, and that has helped me a lot. That has helped me a lot. Okay, the next is from Sandeep. I see sometimes that TPM roles and responsibilities varies companies to companies. Can you please explain what are the typical roles and responsibilities of TPM in Amazon and success criteria of TPM's performance? Also, how does a day look like for a TPM in Amazon? I think let's talk about FAANG or Amazon. Okay, let me give you an example for Amazon, right? The 4 layers that I talked about, that's my daily to do, right? As I said, there is a product that I'm working on today as we speak. We had a review this morning, and I applied that 4 layers, presenting the proposal that we want to implement. Sorry, can't get into details for obvious reasons and things like that. But if you are able to apply the 4 layers in your daily to do or daily life as a TPM, it is not going to come in 24 hours. Trust me, it is going to take a good amount of time for you to consciously put that effort to apply these 4 layers, right? I When I learned about this from my mentor, one thing which I did, I kind of had 4 sticky notes on my 4 corners of the monitor, starting from, I mean, the clockwise. And the first thing that I used to do for every question to be answered is try to answer in these 4 sections or these 4 layers. If you do the same thing repeatedly 1,000 times, you would make that as an habit. And once you make that as a habit, then you don't have to worry about Amazon or Meta or Google or Netflix or to that matter, any company, right? You will start, it will be your normal behavior. It will become your behavior. Will you have similar session for engineering manager? Akshay, over to you.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, I believe we answered your point. Let me know if you still have any question. Alia, does this program work for people like me who wants to resume back to a job after a huge gap, 8 years? Right
Absolutely.
now, I'm looking for testing role, business analytics, data analyst. I think.
Yes, or absolutely. People who are have been there through a career break. Again, as I said, program is taught by FAANG Place mentors, and a lot of FAANG Place companies actually appreciate people who take career breaks, right? It's not that you're a robotic arm designed to work. You are supposed to reconnect with life. Absolutely, yes.
In fact, it will help you more, Alia. The primary reason because in last 8 years, it this COVID has kind of changed the era. It's like pre-COVID and post-COVID, right? So it would be good for, and plus then now in last 2 3 years, this AI has completely changed everything. I mean, was AI not there before 3 years? It was always there. If you go back and look at the history of AI, AI was founded by sorry, I'm forgetting the name of that individual. Back in 1980, sorry, 98, something like that, right? So we always had AI. This has made progress in last 3 years tremendously with OpenAI launching ChatGPT to begin with, but we always had AI. We used to call AI as LLM, machine learning, and all those things, but it was always there. Uh, Tarak, I was late due to internet. That's okay. However, I have been to so much AI learning these days. Earlier, I thought certification would help. I have ML experience in fraud detection. All right. I had to create GitHub. Tarak, it's too detailed. Uh, in terms of AI, how do I crack the market? I think learning is one, and putting that in practice is another. I think Akshay covered this, and you can cover once again if needed. The courses that IK is offering is also talking about projects that you do, right? So those projects will help you to put your learnings into practice. How would you present yourself or go into interview as AI PM when you don't have actual AI experience, but you have spent time understanding concept and did certifications and did simple sample project as part of your training? Very great question. Good question, actually. We all face the same problem, right? Because till yesterday, nobody was talking about AI, and today, everybody is talking about AI, all organizations, all companies. It's fine if you don't have a real experience on AI. If you know about AI, when you talk about example that you have delivered with metrics and business in the learning section, you can quote AI. You could say retrospectively, this learning I have now, if I would have used AI, then this number would have been different, right? You will have to attach AI in a way if the job profile asks for or the interviewer asks for, in a way, if you have not used that, if you would have used, what feature in the AI you would have used? What would you have done differently using AI, right? In the learning, in the four layer, the last layer is learning, right? Attach learning from AI that you could have used might have changed the results that you have achieved, the impact that you have achieved. And be very vocally self-critical. It's important. If you are not honest in interviews, trust me, interviewer will know. Don't think the interview will not understand. If you be open, it's always good. Uh, just for context, I have been laid off and been out for job. Sorry, 8 months. Sorry to hear, Tarak. talk to Akshay. He's the guy for you. He should be able to help you out.
Yeah, Tarak. Right after this, speak to one of our program advisors. He will guide you in detail. How can you tackle this entire situation?
Ankush, I am not sure if you covered as I got distracted due to my current office work. Can you give me an example of the workflow you went through with the stakeholders in your payment solution you delivered with impact? Uh, I'll go back to the four layer. I'm not sure, Ankush, if you were able to actively participate when I was talking about layer. When you go back to your stakeholders to influence them about your goals, your project, your product, you need to be very clear what trade-off they need to do to deliver your goal, right? And why would they do that trade-off? Is there any better ROI for them or for business, larger business? Like for an example, the scenario that we were talking about, reducing the checkout time. It used to take 22 seconds for a customer to select the payment method, right? Now, if you go to the payment team and say, why don't you show, uh, you know, the let's talk American Express card that customer has, or one card that customer has, the first card that customer added. Why don't you show that as default? Payment team will never agree. As part of payment, I know I will never agree to that. Why? That card might have expired, or that card might have a previous decline. And that card might have a fraudulent activity in the past. There could be multiple reasons, right? How would you convince them? Is by asking the question, how can we reduce this 22 second to, let's say, 10 seconds or 20 seconds? Or, or giving them business impact that when you that through your project, 45 seconds will reduce to, let's say, 30 seconds, and payment method remains as is. Let's brainstorm about it. Till the time you are not able to establish that business impact to the to be influenced team, they will never deprioritize their goals, as I said, right? Again, going back to the principle, don't think in silos. You are a system. As a TPM, as a product manager, you need to act as a system and a leader. If you talk about only your goal, your product, your achievements, your deliveries, sorry, I'm not going to deprioritize my goals. That's the answer you're going to get. Uh, Again, Ankush, what steps you took from one kind of stakeholders, from product manager, architect, developer, testing team, etc.? There is no black and white answer to this question. Sorry, right? You, uh, I'll take a step back, right? When I say step back, I'll go back to the principles. What are my principles? What do we say? We talk about framework. We talk about quantification. We talk about impact beats delivery, and finally we talk about system, right? When you attach these things, right, you essentially take your goal or the discussion from an individual personal discussion to business discussion, right? And when you are working for an organization, all individuals in that organization are always striving towards business improvement or impact improvement. If that individual still continues to be a hurdle, then you know, or you should have an escalation matrix. Follow that, right? That is completely okay. I hope I answered that. Sita has a question. What is the scholarship? Akshay, will you be able to
All
take?
right, guys. So, limited students get 50% off, right? So, again, more about the scholarship, you can connect with our program advisors in detail after this call. They will give you a call to explain all of this in detail. All right.
Ruchika has a question. How much AI is used these days for the role of TPM in today's market? I use 20-30% of my time. And there are days I use 50%, 60% of my time. It's you who will decide how much AI will you use, right? Why? As I said, AI cannot be always right. AI will make errors. You will need to be cognizant of that fact. The When you use AI, you can't be blindly trusting AI and just copy paste it. There was a meme floating around on social media a couple of days back where a newspaper editor, I'm sure few of you would have seen that, pasted chat GPT prompt in the newspaper, right? So if you do that kind of a thing, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter how much AI you use, you're using incorrectly, right? So you will have to decide how much you need to use, where to use. AI is helping. Is AI a problem? Is if wrongly used, yes, right? Does this program works for people like me? I think we answered. I have grown myself into TPM role from a senior QA. Congratulations, Ruchika, and not from engineering team. How should I bring deep dive technical aspect into interview? Or should I say system design aspect? I am a live example. I come from very, you are still a QA. And when I say QA, I am assuming you are a quality auditor engineer. I am from operations. If I can become a TPM with no to minimum tech knowledge, you can. So that is okay. Now, how do you bring technical aspect to it? I think from TPM, I don't think so. Organizations or companies expect you to code, right? Uh, but you should know the high level designing. You should be, as a TPM, you should be able to understand what is the structure, what are APIs, what is SDK. Nobody will ask you in an interview, hey, these are the this is the SDK, hash it out, or how will you link two APIs to each other? Nobody's going to ask you that as a TPM. But do you know what is SDK? Do you know what is API at a high level? You should know. That's important because as a TPM, you're going to talk to engineers every day, every hour, right? To that matter. And if you do not know these details, then all discussions that you do with engineers will become gibberish for you. You will struggle.
Hello. I think there's some connectivity error at Manish's end, guys. All right. I think we'll conclude today's session now. Thanks a lot for joining in. This was super, super helpful. And stay tuned to get more insights from our program advisors to address rest of your questions specific to the program. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in today, and I hope you have a very good rest of your day. Thank you. Have a good time.